my dad's thing every year. He sends me a text and just says if Jeff Pastons doesn't tweet it, I don't believe it. That's what he's saying. He literally sends that to me, I think, every year now.
Hey, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media. And we've got a familiar friend and face rejoining us on the program, interrupting his offseason because he's such a good talker. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Chris Bassitt. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Just hanging in there,
Okay, hanging in there. Man, we got a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm so excited to have you on. First of all, at what point do you want to start talking about our beloved Cleveland Browns? Like right now? Or
whenever you want.
Okay. Have you been glued to the TV every Sunday?
Yeah, I'm very thankful for YouTube because they got the NFL package kind of thing, so I've been able to watch that. I haven't been able to buy the ticket kind of thing, so I haven't really been able to follow the Browns nearly as much as I would like to, but I've watched a lot of Browns games this year.
Yeah, well, just so that you know, our quarterback is older than you.
He has a Super Bowl, I think. So I'm pretty dang happy about it. The way he's been playing, I think is kind of what we need. I mean, just to even have a chance, honestly. Our defense is so damn good that I think, obviously, any game we go up against, I think we have a chance. Myles Garrett's, arguably MVP of the league. In my opinion, I know it's a quarterback award basically now, which I don't really like. I don't enjoy that part of it. But I mean, Tyreek Hill, Myles Garrett, and obviously all the quarterbacks. But I think you have to put him in the discussion. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, he'll definitely be up for Defensive Player of the Year. He's slowed a little bit lately because of that shoulder injury, but he's done a great job recently. Are you a fantasy dude? Do you play?
Yeah,
okay.
Very much so.
Are you in a Blue Jays league, or are you in an old league with former teammates? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm still in the old Oakland league with all the OG guys. We have that running still. I'm obviously in the Blue Jays league. Then just back home friends kind of thing. So I think I'm in 4 leagues, but I would say 2 of them are the serious ones.
See, that's the hardest thing to root for. Like now you're rooting for and against the same players every weekend. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's definitely the catch-22 of having so many leagues. And every year I tell myself I'm going to get out a couple of them, but then I'm like, I can't do it to them. Because we have the same guys running for so many years. I'm like, all right, I'll just do it.
By the way, who's in the Oakland League? I'd love to know this one.
Oh, I mean, it's the OG guys. It's Simeon, Olsen, Chappie, me, Pender. I think Mingdon's in there. Mark Canna's in there. Piscotti. A whole bunch of the old timers, so to speak. Obviously, not the old timers, but 6-7 years ago, guys.
That's a good group right there.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
It's a lot of fun. Just hanging out and obviously chatting with them and just asking how the families are going and stuff like that. It's cool to keep up with them.
I don't know if you heard, but Marcus Semien won a World Series ring this year. So next time you're in the chat, mention that. Say, hey, I heard you guys won. Yeah,
that was a big deal in our group chat, no doubt. That at least one of us got a ring this year. I think that's kind of the goal for that group, is kind of someone's got to win it, just a matter of who. So Semien got his. We said, all right, you're not allowed to get any. Robbie Grossman's also in that. So shout out Robbie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they got the ring. So I'm like, all right, you guys got yours, no more now. And now it's our turn.
When you have buddies that are playing in the World Series, because I know a lot of guys kind of tune out after a long season. They're like, okay, I'll see you in spring training. I'm going to go do my work, but I'm not sitting down and watching baseball. I think a lot of fans are surprised by that. But when you have like a rooting interest, did you turn on the Diamondbacks and Rangers because of it?
No doubt. I mean, obviously with Olsen and the Braves, and then the Rangers obviously I had vesting interest because of Scherzer and DeGrom from like last year, and then obviously Semien, and obviously like I'm a big fan of like Corey Seager and Grossman, and I played with Jankowski, one of the outfielders there. So I had a lot of, Jonah Heim. So I had a lot of like really good friends on the Texas team. But I have a lot of close friends, I would say, on a lot of teams, like Luzardo in Miami. So I think my watch of playoff games went from over the last couple of years, it went from like I'm pissed off, I'm not in this spot, to now I'm just rooting for my friends to get what I really want. And I think it's kind of turned from a negative, like I don't even want to watch these games, to like, man, I'm genuinely like super pumped and excited for these guys.
Cool. I dig that. All right, we're taping this on a Tuesday, so this is a few days after it was announced that Shohei Ohtani is headed out west for 10 years and
Hmm.
$700 million. And we're going to get to the deferrals and how an active Major League Baseball, that stuff. But there were a ton of rumors last Friday that
Hmm.
he was coming your direction. Were you all over social media that day? What were the emotions like for you?
Yeah, I'm not at all. I'm obviously I went through this, I went through enough of this where I don't even put any weight into it anymore. And I'm not saying this negatively, because I know there's a lot of negative like notions about the media and how much we can actually trust them and what they say anymore and stuff like that. And I think a lot of them do a really good job. But there's just so much stuff that's just lies. And I think it's lies based on either the teams lying about players, or the players lying to the people that are just trying to do their job just to like get a benefit out of them. So everyone's just kind of being used. So I'll use my dad's old like my dad's thing every year. He sends me a text and he just says, if Jeff Pastons doesn't tweet it, I don't believe it. That's what he's saying. He literally sends that to me, I think, every year now. So um yeah, I don't put any weight into anyone coming or going, and I just don't see a point in it, just because so many teams are getting used to further benefit, like obviously yourself, or teams are putting stuff out that are just is just not true.
So wait, you didn't get wrapped up in the whole thing? I mean, the whole what? Forget about just the baseball world. Like the sports world stopped on Friday, 2/3 of the way through an NFL season. You know, the day
Yeah.
before the Heisman Trophy's being announced. Like it stopped for Shohei. You weren't like, oh
Yeah, I
man,
mean,
this.
I obviously have friends that are sending me stuff, and I obviously have teammates that are like, "Man, this actually might be happening." But again, I guess it's just me, but I just don't trust anybody anymore. I really don't. Until someone signs a dotted line, I don't trust it. Just because like I'm gonna get emotionally excited about someone coming there, then all of a sudden they don't come here, and now I'm sitting there like disappointed when we already have a great team. So like for the fans or for the players that got super excited, like, hey, Shohei is a Blue Jay, and then all of a sudden he's not a Blue Jay. Now what? You're thinking negatively about next year? Like I don't think like that. I just think Shohei did an unbelievable job of marketing himself. The Dodgers got an unbelievable player, and that's it. It's just filling out the rosters for 2024 is how I kind of think of it.
So when he signed officially on Saturday, were you like, oh, okay? Or was there a little slice of your baseball heart that was like, that could have been us?
Nah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, I would love to have him, and he's arguably one of the best players, or if not the best player ever. So, yeah, it stinks that we don't have him, but at the same time, now I'm just thinking like, okay, like there's a lot of certain guys out there that I really like. So yeah, we obviously we have a couple of holes to fill that from free agents that left. So now it's like, all right, who do we go and get? So I'm glad I'm not a GM right now.
As a guy who's been around this game a long time, when you saw that the first digit of Shohei's contract started with a 7,
Mm.
what was your reaction?
Crazy. I mean, I think the talk was, can he get to 500 the whole year, and the fact that he got to 700 is bonkers. I mean, that's just crazy money. So I think it's shocked the whole. I mean, it's the biggest contract in American sports. I mean, but again, he deserves every penny. Like the Dodgers, don't feel bad for the Dodgers, because they're going to be making money off of Shohei. I'll tell you that. Like Shohei brings in so much money, so much viewership. Um, yeah, I mean, great for the Dodgers and great for Shohei. That's kind of what I think of it. I didn't think the number was going to be able to get that high.
Did you change your thought process when it came out on Monday that 68 of the 70 million every season of his playing career will be deferred.
Yeah. I personally, this is just me talking because I'm not obviously their accountant, the Dodgers accountant, but I think of it and look at it and I'm like, okay, Mookie's got a ton of money deferred. Freeman's got a ton of money deferred. Ohtani now has $680 million deferred. Like, you're going to have close to $900 million deferred after 10 years. Like, I don't know what the Dodgers 10 years from now looks like, but at the same time, they got it figured out. The Dodgers are smart as hell. So I'm not saying you should be worried as a Dodgers fan by any means, because they're obviously very, very good at what they do. But me not understanding the whole finances of how all that breaks down, but like the CBT taxes and all that stuff. But to sit here and think in 10 years from now we have $900 million tidal wave coming at us is crazy to think. So I guarantee you they have every penny counted for. But for me, I think that's an insane number.
Well, but let's look at it from just the baseball side of things. It's legal. Okay, let's put that right out there. It is agreed upon between the players and owners that players can defer as much money as they want. Okay, that is, they didn't circumvent anything. It just feels dirty, right? It just feels weird that Shohei Ohtani is going to be like the 19th highest paid player on the Dodgers or whatever it is next season. Does it feel a little odd?
I mean, it feels odd, but at the same time, I mean, I've talked to a number of guys, and there's so many different viewpoints of this where it's like, it doesn't make sense for Shohei. Shohei shouldn't have done this because you need to get your money now because he's going to be losing money by doing this, even though he's not going to get taxed in California. The Dodgers are going to be able to sit with $680 million in their pocket and let that grow, just based on just having it obviously just invested, and then let that $680 million grow. And then obviously they're going to be able to pay him less money. But I mean, when it comes to like deferred money, I think it's just, you have one team I'm not saying taking advantage of it, but you have one team doing it kind of to the extreme right now. And will it pay off? I don't think you need to like overreact like as the league and be like, oh, we need to stop this right now. Just let it play out. And in 10 years, if it's like, oh crap, this is a problem, then okay, then we can possibly fix it. But right now, I just think they're using the system however they want to use it. I mean, if every team can do it, any team can do it. So I don't. It's not a secret. So I don't see there being a problem whatsoever with it. It's just, how do you want to get your money in? We're still paying a whole bunch of players that have been long gone. So deferred money has been around forever. It's just a matter of now the number is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, your buddy Scherzer did it with half of his deal in DC when he got whatever it was, $215 million. He took half of it deferred. He's still getting paid a shitload by the Nationals.
I mean, Scherzer last year was getting paid by 3 different teams. He was getting paid by the Mets, the Nationals, and the Rangers. So I mean, yeah, I mean, deferred money is not like a. I just think obviously Shohei is the most like big name in the world for our sport. Probably the biggest name in our sport ever, probably. When it comes to like just clicks and all that stuff. But the fact that he did it now kind of puts a microscope on like what, like I have so many people now text me like, what is deferred money? And I'm like, oh my God, like here we go. So yeah, I just think people didn't realize that this was a thing, but it's been a thing for so long. It's just a matter of now the most popular player on our team just did it to the absolute extreme.
Woo-wee! NFL fans, it is time to unwrap nonstop football action this holiday season. Throw down on big matchups with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And this week, new customers can bet just $5 on the NFL and score $150 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code ROSE, and new customers can bet just $5 on the NFL action and to score $150 instantly in bonus bets. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. with promo code ROSE. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. In behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 160 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility, deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Now back to the show.
All right, I want to ask you one more question, then we're going to move on to your team. Over those 10 years, how many rings does he have to help the Dodgers win in order to justify the contract?
Man, I would say one. I know probably someone's going to say 2 or 3. It's so hard to win a World Series, period. Like you win one ring for a city, one ring for an organization, your job's done. Like you did it. Like you did it. Like obviously $700 million. You're hoping that I'm sure the Dodgers for like the next 10 years, they're hoping for 2-3 rings in 10 years. Especially with Mookie and Freddie and all those guys, like they're hoping for at least 2 or 3 rings. But you win one ring in 10 years, you did it. And so I would say you got to win one, but that winning one is hard as hell. There's so many things that got to go right. So I don't think it's really just up to Shohei. Obviously, we saw that the last couple of years with the Angels. But I mean, the Dodgers are a force now to mess with.
All right, I lied. There is one more, but it has to do with Mike Trout. Now that Shohei's no longer there, would you as a baseball fan like to see him traded?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, I don't know how it would work out, but I would love to see him with Philly. I mean, just because I know that's kind of his hometown, I just think Trout in Philly would be just like apex. Him and Harper, like this. Just the fan standpoint of it, I wouldn't want to face them. I'll tell you that with Schwarber and all those guys. But yeah, I mean, Trout arguably is. I mean, he's one of the top 5 best players in my opinion ever, position wise, and I got to see him on a team that's playing deep into October. Like he deserves that. Not just him, but. The baseball world deserves that. Everyone deserves to see him go deep into a playoff run.
All right, you guys made the postseason last year and unfortunately didn't score a run in that ended up being a 2-game series sweep against the Minnesota Twins. I felt like going into the playoffs that your team had the fewest questions of anyone in the American League. What went wrong?
I don't know. I don't know if anything went wrong. I just think like hitting side, we were just we just young players. I mean, our lineup, you may look at our lineup and think, man, you guys are a bunch of like old guys because you have a very veteran pitching staff. You have kind of some veteran guys in the bullpen. You have Brandon Belt, you have Chappie, you had Witt. But for the most part, our best players were the youngest guys on our team, which that isn't usually the thing. Usually your best players are your veteran guys. Like you look at the best players on a lot of teams. I said the Phillies, so let's go to the Phillies. Like you have Harper, Schwarber, you have Castellanos, you have guys that have been around for so long. So like when they're struggling, they know what they're doing wrong. They know what's going on. The game is so hard. So I mean, Vladdy was our youngest guy on our team last year, and people forgot all about that. I think like his ups and downs. I'm like, yeah, he's 23, 24 years old. Like what? He's going to have ups and downs. He's still learning his body. He's learning the game. He's learning what it takes to be a big leaguer. So I just think it was just not the time that we it was just not our time. In my opinion, that was just it. Like we ran into Sonny Gray, we ran into some really, really good pitching, and it just wasn't our time.
All right. By the way, I don't want to shortchange you. You guys did squeeze across a run in the series. I don't want to say you got back-to-back shutouts. So Jays fans, save it in the comments. My mistake. I do want to ask you about two things. Number one, in game 2, Berrios came out of the gate and was great. He was as good as he had been all year. And then I think in the beginning of the 4th, he may have let on a guy or two, and that was it. Like he was done. He was pulled. As the starting pitcher who understands the inner workings of baseball decisions these days, but as a guy who wants to compete like hell out there, how tough was that for you to watch?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I think we had a game plan going in that we wanted to flip their lineup. I mean, I know that's what we were doing. We were trying to flip their lineup, put Kikuchi in, flip their lineup, get all their guys out, all their lefties out, so then we can attack them with all of our righties in our bullpen, and they have a kind of a messed up lineup. They were a very heavy team that when the pitching wasn't matching up with the hitting, they'd start flipping everybody. That's the way they did it all year long. We knew that. So we were going to say, okay, like we're going to flip our pitching and they're going to flip their lineup. And then later in the game, we have all the matchups that we want. I'll be honest with you, I think this whole situation has gotten blown so far out of proportion. It's not funny. Just because, yeah, did it work out the way that we wanted it to? Like, totally no. But that didn't matter. That didn't lose the game for us. Like, yeah, was it a great move? No, it was not. Was it the right move? No, it was not. But at the same time, like, I mean, Sonny was still out there absolutely shoving. So, like, what we were doing the pitching standpoint didn't really matter that much.
So you don't walk away from that series saying, damn it, like, what are we thinking? Like, it just feels so disjointed. I always, in Blake Snell in game 6 of the 2020 World Series is like the gold standard of that decision.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like that's the day that the baseball gods touched his arm. And Berrios, I felt like, deserved to wiggle out of jams. I understand getting lefties out of lineups and stuff like that, but Berrios, when he's great, can be as good as anybody. Why wouldn't you let him run?
Listen, I'll fight analytics until the day I die with that aspect of it. I'd rather lose the game with Berrios on the mound than pull the analytics side of it all and try to flip lineups and stuff like that, because obviously their lineup wasn't hitting Berrios. So I would rather try to throw Berrios 130 pitches and try to have him go 9 innings. But that's just not what we did. And again, I think everyone in our organization regrets that. And I think it's just more so we have got to learn from that mistake and just not let it happen again. So, yeah, I think there's just so many things that we did wrong last year, and yet we were such a talented team that I think, I look at it and I'm like, all these things that went wrong, whether it be the hitting, the pitching side, all this stuff, like, if they all went wrong last year and we learned from them and then we're much better next year for it, then I'm happy. But say we figured out the hitting side last year and then all of a sudden we do that stupid pitching move this coming year and we blow our season up again. I'm like, gosh dang, like, we just keep making these one mistakes that just like get in our way. So hopefully we're just learning from it, like learn from it all. Like, that's all you can really do. And then just go and whoop people's butt next year. That's all you can do.
I mentioned you're a guy that loves to compete. And we know that the previous year with the Mets, it didn't go the way you wanted in the postseason. We talked about that on this show. How tough was it for you? I mean, you knew that you were going to be the game 3 starter, but we never got a game 3. How tough was that for you to swallow on a personal level?
Yeah, it was really tough because I just feel like I knew, and it wasn't so much like I was thinking like, man, I deserve to have game 2. Like, I told, like, we had so many meetings. We were such a close knit group from starters, from like me, Gotham, and Berrios, obviously, Rue and Kikuchi and all those guys, with Pete and obviously Schneids, and we were super close all year. I think that's what made us so good, was that we were telling each other like, hey, like, I don't feel that good. So we were pulling guys at 5 innings when people were like, why are you pulling this guy at 80 pitches throughout the year? And then I was going 115 sometimes to make up for what happened the day before. So we were super close and telling each other like, hey, I don't feel that great, or I feel really good, so let's roll it. So when the playoffs came, it was kind of like, all right, we have 3 games. Who's going to go? Basically, they pulled like me, Gauze, and Berrios to the side and said like, hey, we want you 3 to be the guys. And we were already previously lined up, Gausman, Berrios, me. That was the order that we were running through the last month and a half of the season. And I was just like, why would we even change this? Like, we have the best rotation in baseball. I think Milwaukee was right there with us the whole year. But why mess with that all of a sudden? So we just rolled it. They're like, it's like, Berrios, you got game 2? And I'm like, yeah, he's got game 2. He's after Gausman. Like, what do we even think about this? So it wasn't so much I'm mad that I didn't get to pitch. It was more so just I'm mad our season ended, if that makes sense. Like it's I wish I got a chance to pitch. Yeah, of course. I wish I got a chance to pitch the next series though too. So I was more so thinking of it as a unit of like pitching wise, like, hey, listen, this unit, like win or lose, like we're not going to lose because of the pitching. Like that's just that simple. Like that's what we thought all year. Like we're the best pitching staff in baseball. We're not going to like mess this up. Like we are going to be like the best rotation of baseball, and that's what we did.
With analytics, when you guys are on the bench, it's not your day to pitch, and I know that this gets screwy during the regular season because you mentioned some guys aren't feeling great, and so those moves sometimes are predicated on who's available in the bullpen and who's not, or whatever. But as you're watching, let's say the playoffs unfold in front of your eyes, and moves are being made where you're like we as baseball fans are like, what is going on here? Are you kind of following along with us? Do you sit there, or because you're in all these meetings and you're getting so much information, and you're like, I know why they're doing that?
Yeah, there's both. I mean, there's I understand the moves that they're making, why they're making them, but then there's also like you're sitting there and you're pulling your hair out of your head because you're like, why are y'all pitching to this guy like this? Like I'm like wanting to call my buddies and be like, y'all are pitching this guy dead wrong. Like, what are we doing? Like, so yeah, I mean, it's like the catch-22 of all these things. Like Corey Seager, I don't know why in the world people kept pitching to Corey Seager in the playoffs. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I would have walked him every single time he came up. I don't care. Bases loaded, out of Babe Ruth them. Like, I would Barry Bonds them. I would have did all of that stuff. Like, Corey Seager, you're up. You're going to first. Like, I'm not even pitching to you. So, yeah, there's just things like that I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, as a fan or as a player of the game, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, analytically, the way that y'all are trying to attack this lineup, it just doesn't even make sense, or it really makes sense. Like, it's one of the two. It's either like it's very obvious either way. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun, but it definitely, like I said, it'll make me lose my mind a little bit.
There is a new big time hitter that just joined your division in Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have to go get a Cody Bellinger type in order to match that chess move?
No. I mean, I really don't. I mean, just because they went and got a superstar doesn't mean we have to go get a superstar. We already have a whole bunch of superstars. It's just I don't think we have the apex of Judge and Soto. Those two guys are just world class, unbelievable. But I mean, we got Vladdy and Bichette right there. Obviously, we have George Springer who's right there. We have the guys. It's just we lose Kevin Kiermaier in center field. We lose Chappie at third. We lose Whit Merrifield, who kind of played everywhere for us. So we just got to fill those holes. And then again, we roll back a pitching staff that I think can compete to be the best pitching staff in baseball. The thing I would say that honestly, everyone talks about Juan Soto with the Yankees. I think the bigger one is Rodon. I mean, I know Rodon was there last year, but Rodon wasn't really there last year. Like he just was banged up a little bit. I think he can come back and be Rodon that's really, really good. And that's the biggest piece that they had. I mean, even though he was there, like I said, later last year, the biggest piece for the Yankees to add will be Rodon. I mean, that's the biggest piece. You add him and Cole together, then it's like, okay, here we go. So, yeah, but for us, I don't think we need like a holy crap move. Now, would a Bellinger help? Heck yeah, it would help. But do we have to have it? No. We just need our guys to mature, our guys to grow and learn obviously kind of how people are trying to attack them, what they're trying to do, and then just go from there.
I know you say you don't pay attention to rumors because you don't believe anything. However, I will ask you about one that was floating around about a month ago with Bichette, that he might be on the move. You know, he's got a couple more years left on an extension he signed, and then he and Vladdy are going to be free agents at the same time. So I'm a believer that they might choose one over another, whether it's wise or might even happen. I don't know, but it sounds like business-wise, that might be what they do. Finish this sentence. If the Blue Jays trade Bichette this offseason,
I need an explanation. Yeah, I don't see him getting moved at all. Like 0% chance. I think what happened, honestly, I think a good GM, honestly, a good GM will ask teams for people's trade value almost every year. Why not? You go to these winter meetings or you go to any meetings and you'd be like, hey, what would you give me for Vladdy? What would you give me for George Springer? What would you give me for Bichette? And like just get their trade value. And then if someone makes like an oh crap offer, be like, wait a second, you give me that for Bichette, then you may truthfully open up the door to like trade value. But I think it just got leaked because I think possibly what had happened was that they were just trying to figure out Bo's trade value. That's it. And I think you should do that for every player almost every year. And just the media members got told that, hey, they're trading Bichette, and that's just not the case. It's just for us to need offense and then trade our best offensive player is absolutely insane. Like that's just not going to happen. It's just not.
You've been traded twice. You were in the Samardzija deal, right?
Yep.
In what was that, 2014?
24 after 2014, yeah.
And then you were traded. Were you traded right before the season in 2022?
Oh no, I was in the off season, basically kind of like in the winter meetings kind of thing. Yeah.
Is that stuff? How strange is that when it happens?
For me, it wasn't that strange because I didn't see the White Sox one coming because I wasn't aware like of even where I was even at. Like the big leagues was like so foreign to me that I was like I just made the big leagues and I was like a lost puppy. So I didn't have a clue of what that was going on. The one that sent me from Oakland to the Mets, I saw that coming from a million miles away because we were cleaning the house. Everyone was getting traded. And I'm like, it's not a matter of if I get traded, it's just a matter of like, where am I going? So yeah, that one, I almost felt like I was a free agent without even being able to chance to pick where I was going to go. So it wasn't that weird to me. I think the more of the weird ones would be like a Bo trade, where it's like you don't even see it coming, and then all of a sudden it gets traded, and it's like, what in the world? Like, are you kidding me? I think those would be really weird. Like those would be uncomfortable. Those would be tough. But the ones that I've been a part of have been very, very easy.
Got it. When was the last time you spoke to Alek Manoah?
Well, he just had a wedding, so I know he's been super busy. But I'd say about a month ago.
And how is he?
He's good, honestly. I think I'm super excited. I'm pumped for him. I think physically he's getting to right where he needs to be. Mentally, I think he's there. Obviously, I'm sure there's some stresses. Now, I'm not saying that he told me this, but there's some stresses of like, hey, I got to get going next year. But we expect him to be one of the best pitchers in the world again. I just think you can kind of chalk it up last year of just having a bad year. And obviously you can equate that to a million different reasons. I think there's a lot of people to blame. But yeah, I think he's going to be, you have to mark him down to be a really good pitcher again next year.
So who's to blame?
I mean, you have to blame himself. I mean, you got to blame the Blue Jays. You got to blame a lot of people. You got to blame, I would say, honestly, everyone involved has a hand in someone's like downfall like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that were handled not correctly, and everyone has admitted that. There's a lot of things that from Manoah sides that was not handled correctly, and I think he has admitted that. And it's the growing pains. Like I always kind of make jokes, not at all, but with like Schneid's our head coach and like obviously the front office, like I was so lucky to kind of be a part of Oakland because I feel like I was like completely like I could have done almost anything and no one would have known about it. But like the amount of times that like I did stupid stuff and like Bo Mel pulled me in the office or pulled me aside and like, hey, like we do not do that. Like this is wrong way to do things. Like I just think when you're 20 years old, like these guys come in the league to like 26, 27, like 27's pushing it a little bit, but like 26-ish, you're still like fighting front offices, you're fighting coaches, you're fighting like strength staff of who can I trust, who can I not trust. You're trying to like fight just for like your life basically of like trying to be a big leaguer. And I feel like you get into a trap of like people are against me because they say you're getting sent down and you shouldn't be sent down. Yeah, I mean, like even like I made comments, I believe, one spring training about like getting sent down, and Bowman was like mad at me. And I right when I said it, and like it came out like, and then after I read what I said, kind of thing, I was like, man, that was bad. So like I've handled so many, like I said, so many things in the past that were wrong. It's just a matter of just like kind of like learning from them and then having the grown-ups in the room to like deal with that person. Like you have to guide a 25-year-old. Like, yes, he's a man, but he's, in my opinion, he's still like a kid. Like he has so much pressure on him. You have to guide them in the right way. Like you're molding a 24, 23, 24, 25-year-old man to become a great big leaguer and a great person. And you have to understand that. You can't like fight a 24-year-old for making mistakes because that's going to happen. So that's why I'm so close, I think, with Bomel. Like I love him. Like I still love him. I would do everything for Bomel. Just because I know how much he has meant to me in my career, and it's still to this day how much he means to me.
That's interesting. So, like, what happened with him? You said you kind of said some stuff that
with Bomel and me.
Yeah.
I think it was like post Tommy John. I was told like, all right, you're like I was really good the year before. I was told like, hey, like you're gonna start for us, or you're gonna have a chance, like obviously make the rotation out of camp. And then I got to camp, and I don't think I even started a single game. And then I got sent down in camp, and they were like, "Hey, like, what's your plan?" And I like basically told the press, like, "I don't even know my plan. Like, no one tells me anything. Like, blah blah blah. Like, no one here even has a clue what I'm supposed to be doing or stuff like that." And I mean, I'll be honest, I was just pissed because I was like, I know I'm one of the 5 best starters on this team, and you guys brought me into camp and never even gave me a chance to start. And I'm healthy again post Tommy John. Well, my whole road back to Tommy John, like it was tough. And like I feel like they had like a master plan, and I just didn't know it. And I don't think I needed to know it. I don't have to know everything as a player. Like you don't have to know the ins and outs of everything. But yeah, so when I said that, like, I think I know Bomel to like, you think I don't know what I'm doing? Like, you don't think I know the plan for you? You don't think like maybe I was on an innings limit and they're like, we don't start you in the big leagues because we want like your innings to last throughout the year, not just to burn them in the beginning. So like, yeah, I went down to minor leagues. I was there for like a couple weeks or maybe a month. And then I was in the big leagues the rest of the year. But like when I got to like the big leagues again, it was like, hey, you got to go talk to Bomel. And I right away, I knew like tail between my legs, like a little dog coming in. I was like, hey, I'm really sorry about that. But ever since then, it was just like, hey, like I make a mistake. He tells me I make a mistake. I learn from it. I try to grow to be a better person. And that was it. So he just knew like he could kind of push me and like in the right direction as a player, and then also right direction as a person, and just grow. I mean, that's the biggest thing is I think you have to grow people into becoming better people, even though we're baseball players.
Mhm.
You just got to push them to be better people.
Good learning experience. And so I want to finish this up with Manoah. There are some people that feel like a clean break is what's best for him. Why is it not?
Just everything I just said, just because I think it's okay to have fights. It's okay to have arguments. It's okay to have bad times. Like I'm married with my wife. I have bad times with her every once in a while. That doesn't mean we need to break it up. Like it to me, it's like the organization knows what's best for Alek Manoah. Alek Manoah knows all these people. He's comfortable with Pete, our pitching coach. He's comfortable with the coaching staff. He's comfortable with the strength staff. He's comfortable with all these guys. Who's best to get him back to who he's supposed to be, rather than the team that literally made him almost a Cy Young winner? Like, for an organization to take him on and then think like we can get him back without even, you don't even know who Alek Manoah is. You don't know how he trains. You don't know his what it takes in the weight room, what it takes in the training room, what it takes behind the scenes, like mentally, what it takes in bullpens. You have no clue. Like you think like you have the people to figure it out, but you don't have a clue. Like the Blue Jays have the clue. The Blue Jays already know all those answers. So the easiest fix for Manoah is just to stay. That's the easiest fix, because we have the people in place. We have the veteran pitchers to help him out. We have the veteran coaches to help him out. We have, obviously, in my opinion, the best facilities in all of baseball. Where else do you want to go? Like, I mean, I don't want to mention any teams, but like, you want to get traded to a specific team and then be like, oh yeah, they're gonna fix you, and then all of a sudden you have another bad year with them, and then you're really downhill. I just think you just roll it again. Like, hey, like, we all had our fights. We're grown men. Let's put this behind us. Like, we're gonna look back in 2-3 years when you're a stud again and be like, man, like, I hated that we went through this, like me and Bob Melvin did. Like, I hated I said things, I hated I did things, but now I look back 6-7 years from now, I'm like, man, that's like one of my best friends. So I just think bad times are not bad. I just think bad times are sometimes what people need to get back on track.
That's cool. Great insight. I'm rooting for him. I picked him as my Cy Young winner last year. How'd that work out? Really nailed that one. Really got it. Awesome. Let's finish up with this. You got a buddy that's a big league manager now.
Oh man, I'm so happy for him.
How excited were you for Vogt?
Oh man, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was almost in tears happy for him. Like, I know how good he is. Even as a player, everyone was like, man, you're gonna be a manager one day. Like, you're gonna be a manager. Like, the way that you think, the way that you communicate with players, the way that you act on and off the field, the way that you're able to handle all these personalities as a catcher, the way that you communicate with front offices, you're going to be a manager. Like, you're just going to. We saw it so long ago. And then obviously he got into coaching, and I'm like, man, you're going to be a manager. And then I saw him, like, obviously coaching with like Seattle and stuff like that. And I'd always talk to him, and I'm like, when are you going to be a manager? And then, like, his name came up, and I'm like, hey, like, obviously, if I could pick any team in the world for him to manage, it would have been Cleveland, because I'm like, I'm a Cleveland fan. So I'm like, man, like, if this happens, I'm going to be the happiest person in the world. And then it actually did happen. And all my friends were like, we got him. Like, because I was telling them, like, you want Vogt as your manager. Like, I don't know if you can ever replace, like, you cannot replace like a guy like Tito. Like, he's unbelievable. Like, one of the best of all time for Cleveland, but man, you may have came close. You may have came close. Like, I'm so excited for him. I think he's going to be an unbelievable manager for such a long time.
Of course.
I got a lot of voter stories, but I don't know if any of them are coaching appropriate.
Fair enough.
No, honestly, I mean, to me, the biggest thing about voter, like some of the stories I can tell is like with Oakland, you have so many young, just like I said earlier, like you have 22, 24-year-old. We just traded for this top prospect, and all of a sudden they're in the big leagues, and it's like, hey, like figure this moron out. And then you have voters sitting back there like, gosh, dang, this guy, like, what in the world? So he has dealt with so many personalities in Oakland. It's just the band of misfits over there that voter and those guys just were able to piece together. So like for you to think like there's a personality that is not going to be able to like relate to like guide the right way, to make sure everyone's on the same page. I'm telling you, Cleveland is in such a good spot with him. I'm so happy for him.
That's great. How sad are you that the A's are moving to Vegas?
Oh, it sucks. I mean, it sucks for the city. It sucks for all those people. It's because I think like there's so many people. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to get political on it, but there's so many things that I think went wrong with Oakland and all that stuff. But like, I just think to lose a franchise that has so much history is such a bad thing for our sport. Like so many World Series champions, Ricky Henderson, all those guys, like, I mean, Dave Stewart, all those guys, you'll look back and be like, yeah, they used to play for the Oakland A's. And in 25, 30 years, kids are going to be like, who in the world are the Oakland A's? And for me to think that, and for me to have such like a high, like love for Oakland, that just kills me. Cause I'm like the Bay Area is so big. There is a market there. Like, how could they just not figure it out? That's why I just don't understand. It's like how they could not figure it out. But obviously, Vegas is Vegas. Like, Vegas is going to draw well. Vegas is going to be, I think at least, Vegas is going to be a great sports city, I think. But I mean, I don't know. For them to lose Oakland and that franchise and that history just absolutely gut punches me.
Yeah. By the way, I'll finish it up with this. Congratulations on nailing 200 innings on the dot, dude.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Holy smoke. You must be great at playing the Price is Right or something.
Yeah, that was
without going over.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. I knew kind of like the last 3 or 4 starts. Like I didn't try to think about it the whole year. Like that's always my goal. I didn't try to think about it the whole year. I just try to keep like the correct pace. It's kind of like a marathon. You got to keep the right pace kind of thing. But then like the last three games, I was like, all right, I need this many innings. And then the second to last game happened, and I was like, there is no way I get to this. Like I would have to just absolutely dominate. So I just was like, all right, like let's just go for it. And the fact that I got it, all the starters knew I got it. That was the coolest part to me, was like, obviously, like I always talk to Berrios because Berrios did it like 2 times, I think. And I'm like, and Berrios hasn't missed a start since like 1940 or something stupid. Like I'm like, dude, like I want to get 200 innings so bad. Like that's such a cool mark. And like obviously, like watching Jose Quintana with the White Sox when I came up, and he was like, Q was like 200 innings, 200 innings, 200 innings. I'm like, that is like the benchmark of like a stud. Because like everyone would talk about how good he was, and I'm like, man, I want people to talk like that about me. So yeah, just to finally get that is sick. But I'm definitely gonna be working my butt off this offseason and kind of double down. That'd be cool.
But then double down would be 400 innings. Don't do that.
No. Do it again.
Double down meaning do it again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
You know, I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
All right, listen. You've given us ample time. We appreciate it a ton. It's always great getting your perspective because you're always such a good thinker about the sport. I love it. I love it. You can talk about anything. But I'll see you in Vegas Super Bowl, I'm sure.
Oh.
You know, when the brown and orange are out there flying.
If the Browns are in the Super Bowl, you'll see me there. I promise you. I don't know if I'll see you, but you'll see me.
Oh my God. I don't even know what. Stop. I can't even get there. I've been watching old games on YouTube from the 80s from my childhood.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's bad. You get down in that rabbit hole and you just can't stop.
I don't know how I would even react to the Browns got to the Super Bowl. It would be the most nervous I've ever been in my life.
More nervous than even playing?
Yeah, no doubt. I get more nervous watching baseball games than playing them because I can't control them.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Browns tear me apart. They tear me apart. Flacco, come on,
old man. All right, listen, best to you and your family and early happy holidays, and thanks so much for giving us some time. It's always great catching up with you, man.
Awesome.
All right. Special shout out to our co-producers on this episode, Dan Rourke and Robbie Scirocco. For Chris Bassitt of your Toronto Blue Jays I am Chris Rose. We will see you next time here on the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media.